President Trump has documents go public that the White House, CIA, Treasury, and military are making moves on Venezuela. This is something that I've been developing and telling you about since August. Nancy Pelosi snaps at a reporter after being questioned about her guilt and involvement of January 6th. This and much, much more. Let's jump right in. Thank you guys for liking and sharing these videos. It helps more than you know. Representative Paulina Luna announced that Russia's U.S. ambassador will deliver a 350-page report on the JFK assassination to her office, the first such access since the 1990s. As chair of the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, Luna said she will work with journalist Jefferson Morley to make the information public. She called Kennedy's death a monumentous and tragic day and criticized 60 years of half-truths, deception, and outright lies. We all want the truth on what happened with JFK, with Charlie Kirk, with MLK and RFK. Now, yesterday, Lindell TV had a reporter go to the Capitol. Nancy Pelosi happened to be outside. So she decided to ask former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi if she was worried about the new January 6th committee finding her guilty and liable for not calling in the National Guard. Let me show that video to you now.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Shut up. Why are you here asking questions, pretending to be a journalist? So because a Republican has concerns, suddenly they're not a journalist, they're not doing their job. Her reaction was pretty strong for somebody who isn't guilty. I'll let you know as the January 6th committee gets up and running, because I think we're going to find that not everything is what we were told it was. Turning to oversight battles, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan demanded testimony from former special counsel Jack Smith over claims of politically motivated investigations into President Trump and other members of Congress. The demand followed revelation that Jack Smith's team allegedly tracked Republican lawmakers' phone records. In his letter, Jim Jordan accused the Biden-Harris Justice Department of weaponizing law enforcement through restrictive speech orders against President Trump, Mar-a-Lago, pressure on defense counsel, evidence tampering, and tracking the phones of several senators, all of which were Republicans. Documents from FBI Director Kash Patel's secret lockbox showed Jack Smith's Arctic Frost team subpoenaed phone records for many members of the Republican Party. Team members Thomas Windham and Jay Bratt refused to answer questions, with Bratt reportedly invoking the Fifth Amendment 75 times in order to not incriminate himself in this spying operation against the Republican Party. Kash Patel has since fired involved FBI agents, and Jack Smith is now under investigation by U.S. Congressman Jim Jordan. The letter demands that he appear on October 28th at 10 a.m., but as of right now, Jack Smith has denied that he will come in. I'll continue to keep you updated on that. On Capitol Hill, Speaker Mike Johnson marked the 16th day of the Democrat-led government shutdown, revealing Democrat demands. I'll be going through this with a guest here later, so I won't get into it, but essentially, they want like $500 million for left-leaning media. They want tens of millions of dollars for LGBTQ all over the world, not in America, but all over the world. Money for feminism, money for civics programs in Africa, just tons of wasteful money, none of it going to America. Now, Speaker Johnson warned that Democrats' plans would expand taxpayer-funded health care to non-citizens and make COVID-era Obamacare subsidies permanent versus allowing the free market to make insurance competitive and therefore less expensive. So they are saying there is nothing the Democrats can do that are going to make us budge. I'll keep you updated on that. Now, CNN's The Arena, Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland explained his thoughts on why Democrats oppose a clean continuing resolution. He claimed Trump's administration has been illegally firing federal employees since day one and has even less authority during a shutdown. Having voted 8 times to reopen the government without giving Trump a blank check, Van Hollen cited harm to workers and what he called a Republican-engineered healthcare crisis. This is complete and total bullcrap. Now, referencing Elon Musk and his chainsaw or Doge in early firing, Van Hollen described meeting with dismissed workers seeking assurance Trump would not retaliate. Now, it's funny that everything about Obamacare had to do with Democrats. But now that it's completely unaffordable and is basically socialism, where taxpayers are having to subsidize the ridiculous, out of control spending of the healthcare, suddenly this is Republicans' fault? I'm not buying it. Now, he accused Trump of focusing more on foreign nations, citing $20 billion to Argentina, being too involved in the Israel situation, while ignoring the Trump shutdown. When pressed by Casey Hunt about whether Senator Chuck Schumer might pass the CR, Congressman Van Hollen reiterated that illegally firing continues even without a shutdown, adding that a judge's motion on the issue was due any day now. So basically what he's saying is, because I don't like that Trump is firing the permanent bureaucratic state, which is mostly Democrats, I'm going to pretend that Obamacare problems are Republican problems. So basically, he doesn't like how Trump is firing people, and suddenly that means we should give $200 billion in free health care to illegals all over America. These guys are just continuing to lose credibility. In related remarks, President Trump claimed that a wealthy donor had offered to personally cover the payroll of the military if Democrats would not. Basically, I'll just show you this clip from President Trump because he was impressed that a wealthy American would step up and back the military so heavily.
Shutdown. You have the money to pay the troops on October 15th. Okay.
I actually have a man who is a very wealthy person. You'll know that when I tell you this. Who called a donor, a great gentleman, and he said, if there's any money necessary, shortfall, for the paying of the troops, then I will pay it, meaning he will pay it. How about that? I said, look, we're not going to need it. We're going to take care of our troops. But this was a position that's being forced upon us by Democrats.
So isn't that amazing? Like, I don't know who this very wealthy person is, but they care about the military so much that they said, if there's a shortfall, I will personally cover it for America. Pretty dang cool, right? Now, the Democrats continue to want to give hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal immigrants. Almost none of what they want to do has anything to do with the continuing resolution. What they're terrified is that people are going to realize that Obamacare is so unaffordable, so out of control, that you literally can't afford to live in America or have health care without Democrat government giving it to you. So, I mean, I would love free health care, but a free market would clean up a lot of this problem right away. All right, let's continue. I want to go through a major story. Now, I've been telling my audience about the election rigging in Venezuela, the fact that America has realized that President Maduro is actually the head of one of the largest cartels, the cartel that took over Venezuela, that controls the Sinaloa cartel. Well, something big is happening because documents, I think they were leaked. If not, they were made public. But either way, it's come out that the military, the White House, Secretary of Press of State Marco Rubio and the CIA are all working together to basically go after Venezuela. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and show this to you guys. And I don't usually do this. I don't usually just read articles to you, but let me pull this up so that you can see what I'm talking about. Overthrow. Trump authorizes CIA covert ops targeting Venezuela's Maduro. It is easy to imagine that there's been CIA infiltration into Maduro's Venezuela for a long time, but covert operations there are now becoming an open secret, as fresh Wednesday reporting in the New York Times indicates. The Trump administration has secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert actions in Venezuela. Well, somebody blew the whistle. Now it's public. According to U.S. officials stepping up a campaign against Nicolas Maduro. Now, already the Pentagon has been engaged in what could be interpreted as more overt acts of war in regional waters. The targeting of boats off Venezuela accused of being engaged in narco smuggling operations. Maduro denies this and says, we're going to give you a bunch of money. Let's ratchet down the temperature. Now, at this point, after 5 instances of drone attacks on boats, at least 27 narco terrorists are dead. The Trump administration has alleged the drug traffickers are operating with the blessing and oversight of Nicolas Maduro himself. The U.S. military has further maintained a significant military buildup in the Caribbean, including 10,000 troops. Now, according to the New York Times, the authorization is the latest step in the Trump administration's intensifying pressure campaign against Venezuela. For weeks, the U.S. military has been targeting boats off the Venezuelan coast, saying that they are drug boats. Maduro denies this. The new authority would allow the CIA to carry out lethal operations in the borders of Venezuela, a Caribbean operation. The agency would be able to take covert action against Mr. Maduro or his government, either unilaterally or in conjunction with a larger military operation. It is not known whether the CIA is planning any operation in Venezuela or if the authorities are meant as a contingency. But the development comes as the U.S. military is planning its own possible escalation, drawing up options for President Trump to consider, including striking inside Venezuela. Now, some say that this is over oil. Others say that this has to do with rigging elections around the world. Some of this has to do with drug trafficking and human smuggling. I'm not sure. I've been trying to cover this story for you guys. Let me continue with this last little part here. So this is continues with the New York Times. The Trump administration's strategy on Venezuela, developed by Marco Rubio with help from CIA Director John Ratcliffe, aims to remove Maduro. Now, I don't know that this is swapping out one leader for another so much as if that leader is the head of a narco-terrorist organization that's killing hundreds of thousands of Americans, then yeah, they're going to remove him from power. Mr. Ratcliffe has said little about what the agency is doing in Venezuela, but he has promised that the CIA under his leadership would become more aggressive. During his confirmation hearing, Mr. Ratcliffe said he would make CIA less averse to risk and more willing to conduct covert action. So again, it looks like America has discovered something that Venezuela does not want the world to know. I told you about 5 videos ago how suddenly Nicolas Maduro was offering Trump trillions of dollars of money and access to natural resources. The person who is supposed to replace President Maduro said, if you'll be patient, I'll get you trillions more than Maduro. Again, what is going on? Why is the White House authorizing the CIA and the military to do covert action against Venezuela? Why is Venezuela suddenly saying, we'll give you trillions of dollars? I don't know. I don't have a full answer for you, but this is a story that I've been trying to bring to your attention. So I'll continue to keep you updated on that. Now, economically, The Hill reported that the Labor Department warned Trump's mass deportation could raise food prices because most of the food production in America is done by visa and work permits and illegal immigration. The interim rule said a drop in immigrant labor would deprive growers of relatively cheap labor sources, and that instead of kicking them out, there should be an interview to learn who these people are and then extend to them a limited visa to work, but then be removed at the White House's request. Let me know what you think about that, because I'm all for getting illegal criminals out, reforming immigration. I also don't want my food to become more expensive than it already is. But if there was a way to learn who these people are, collect their information, give them a limited visa and the right and authority to remove them, what do you guys think about that? I'm not sure. I've got mixed feelings about it. All right, Cheryl Hines, wife of RFK Jr., went on The View. They literally tried to shame and humiliate this woman on live TV. But she stood her ground, saying that RFK Jr. knows more about autism, vaccines, and health than most people who have been running HHS. They then said, well, he's not a doctor. She said the majority of people who have taken up that difficult task have not been doctors either. It's typically lawyers that have extensive background and personal experience with litigation for and against Big Pharma. They said that he is biased and that he is going to make America sicker. How on earth could he do that? Look how sick America is. We're literally the sickest nation on planet Earth. Yet Big Pharma and the vaccine industry continues to pump us full of chemicals that are most likely damaging. So I'm glad that she stood her ground and was able to push back on all of that. All right, now I'm a little late to this story, but I still thought it was a really cool story. But basically, President Trump flew back from Israel and he signed the Medal of Freedom for Charlie Kirk. This is Erica Kirk accepting it on behalf of her deceased husband. Really, really quite amazing. Lots of really amazing people were there to be a part of that. All right, now, if you guys could do me a favor, at the end of this video, I'm going to put where I went and visited the Charlie Kirk crime scene a second time. I was able to find a palm print, the scrapings and the dust of a rifle. Also, while I was filming, I had a big breakthrough on the video that the FBI has. So I'm going to put that at the end. That went out yesterday, right when YouTube was having performance issues, and the video ended up tanking. And I know that you guys like seeing that content. I then had to re-release it, and then boom, the like ratio was awesome. The comment ratio was awesome. So I just wanted you guys to know about that because it was really insightful, and I came across some really interesting things that I've not seen on any other channel. All right. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. Thank you for letting me be your source of truth and news. If you could give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.